What's up, my freaks and weirdos? Welcome to another edition of Encrypted Connections. I am your host, Kyle. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, everybody. Hope we got a lot of humping done today. I didn't, but I hope you did. So we are back. We finally got this to happen. Our poor guest and his whole family, they ended up sick last time we tried this. And he's such a gangster that he was going to try to do the show anyway, with potentially with a baby in his lap or multiple children, because I believe he's got like a whole rock band over there. And I think they're all like under 4 or 5, which makes it even crazier. So I appreciate that, but I was like, dude, no way. Like, just go take care of the family and relax. And then he ended up getting sick, just like most everybody out there is getting sick. I mean, literally, it's like everybody I talk to, everybody's sick. Is there something funny going on here? Because I honestly, like, people always say this cliche thing like, oh, everybody's sick, but I swear to God, this is not just a cliche saying this time. Everybody I know is either sick or has been sick, and not just like a bug for 2 or 3 days, like this lasting, weeks long, month long, like crazy, cold or virus that they call it. But I've never had a cold that lasted longer than like 4 or 5 days. So people getting these things for 6 weeks, like, get the out of here. No way. Something else is going on. But maybe we'll get into that topic later. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're all doing well. Let me say hello to my people in the chat. The most important reason that I do this, all of you guys. Of course, Dewey's backstage. I don't know what he's saying. Oh, are we there yet? What's up, Bigfoot, Littlefoot? What's going on, man? Mr. Martin Groves, how are you, brother? Ilo, welcome. Hope, hello. Salty, what's up, bro? Sonia, hello. All the way over there in Iceland. Henry, what's going on? Octo with no friends. You got to change that name, man. You've got friends now. You have friends now. You can no longer be called Octopus with no friends because you have friends, or at least you got one. My good buddy Mike from the CARC and This Week in Bigfoot, Mike Lucci. Mike, what are we doing, man? Are we doing something this weekend? Are we doing something next weekend? What's going on, dude? I'm itching to get out. I actually got contacted the other day by a gentleman about a potential run-in with one of the big guys up in northeastern Connecticut, Rhode Island area, while they were out riding their horses. One of these things apparently like ran across the trail light speed fast and freaked the horses out, freaked the people out, and they immediately contacted this fellow, who then contacted me. And of course, I want to get out there immediately, but it's doing that by yourself is difficult. I do it, but it's much easier and better to do with friends. So, what's up, Fresh? How are you, man? Mikey, what's going on? Did I miss anybody? I know people will file in as we get going here. Larry Hart, what's up, bro? Oh, Miss Stitchwitch, how are you, darling? What's up, RPG? I think that's it. I can't even keep up with this shit. Okay, I think that's it. Hitch up tomorrow on my way home from work. We'll touch base. All right, cool, man. Sounds good. All right, so let's get this shit started. First, let me introduce my esteemed co-host, as always. Some of you know him as Dale Earnhardt's doppelganger, Mr. Dewey, the Deuster Edwards. What's up, bro?
I'm never going to live that down, am I?
You're never going to live that down. No, it's not a bad thing. I mean, he was a famous guy.
Oh, yeah.
He was a famous guy. He was loved and hated.
So was Jeffrey Dahmer, but
That's a good point. Very good point. Yeah. Very good point. Yeah. Yeah. So he was loved and hated too. He was one of those guys that was black and white.
Yeah.
There was no gray area. Either people loved him or they couldn't stand that man. Not like you, though. Everybody loves you. I haven't met a single person who says they don't like you. I can't say the same for myself, but that's all right. All right, let's bring our guest on. Let's get this thing started because I got questions, man. I got questions. Ladies and gentlemen, from Outkast Paranormal, Expedition Bigfoot, emceeing many conferences in the cryptid world, our friend RPG. Also one of the greatest nicknames ever. I mean, if
Yeah.
your nickname, if you're named after a rocket powered grenade, that's man.
Well, it's rocket propelled goodness now. I'm not as much of a hothead as I used to be when I was
Rocket
younger.
propelled goodness. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. And when I
That's
used
good.
to be on the prowl for ladies, it was role playing games. You like role playing games? I'm a good one. You know, cheesy
Oh,
works. It works. They say it
that's
doesn't, but it
good.
works.
Oh, that's great. So I'm going to start. We're not even going to take time with this because our good friend Alex Petikoff, who's a friend in common here, he's like, you have to ask him a question when you get him on the show, and I'm
Sexy
going to ask
beard.
you. Sexy. He does have a sexy beard. Yeah. I'm going
Sexy
to
beard,
ask this
good
question.
posture. He's always ready to lead the revolution.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I call him the Chuck Norris of the Bigfoot community.
I'll roll with that, and I'll help spread that, just like
Yeah,
the
you
sugar.
should. You definitely should. So here we go. Bigfoot is a cyborg?
Bigfoot. Oh, that's funny. You want to lose your audience completely, like right away? You know, because Bigfoot's fun, right? Because for most people, it's just at the top level, which is there might be a large hairy ape out there. Then that's like you go any farther than that, they could be interdimensional, they could be aliens, it could be, and then people are like, oh wow, he's got some good ganja, you know,
Yeah,
and they just they drop off. But no, and maybe. I just think, and I'll sum it up real quick so we don't lose them. We live in a giant game preserve, and we are separated from other hominids. You're telling me all 20-something plus hominids just all vanished, and we're the only ones that survived, and we're the only ones that are left. Everything you've ever been taught is a lie. If you start there and then begin rebuilding your knowledge, it will take you to some really interesting places. So yes, I think there are other hominids out there. I think there are types of Bigfoot. Why do you have 4 toes here, 5 toes there, giant ones here, small ones there? There is a variety of hominids out there. And yeah, we're kept separate by the easiest way to say it, super advanced drone tech. If you see some of the shows they're doing now with drones, they're putting on in Dubai, they're putting on at stadiums, you watch it and it is, in my opinion, what happened in Miami. They're messing around with drones. And if you do it right, to the common person, it would have been like, 400 years ago, seeing God like appear in the sky and be like, whoa, it's mind-blowing. And if you have that kind of technology and you have an incredibly ignorant populace or community that is so focused, self-focused, I mean, we can get into our whole culture and everything, it's going to blow their minds and wow them and distract them long enough to keep our species separate. So is Bigfoot a cyborg? No. I think there's flesh and bone creatures out there running around that would blow our minds, from giants to the wee little people that live under the ponds on all the Indian reservations. I don't know why they're Irish. And yes, and it's hard to get to them because there is a defensive barrier between us, which you could call cyborg or technology. I would rather call it, or magic to some people.
I think it's a great answer.
That's it. Sorry.
No, that's a great answer.
20 minutes later.
No. Alex gave me no backstory whatsoever. He goes, just ask him why he believes Bigfoot might be a cyborg. And I'm like, all right, that's all I needed to hear. I'm going to ask. But that was a great, answer. I fully believe that there's definitely multiple hominids out there for the same reasons you do. People describe seeing different things. I mean, similar thing, but looks different, acts a little different in this place than it does in this place. Larger here, smaller here. These ones stink really bad. These ones don't. I don't think it's just one species. I think it's probably subspecies or different sets of these hominids, and just like anywhere else, when you evolve in a certain area, you evolve for that area specifically, and for that terrain and all those things. So it makes sense that in certain places 4 toes might work better than 5 toes would, and
sure.
All that stuff. But that's very interesting.
What's your knowledge base built on? Like, look, people want to freak yourselves out. Look up the budget for the Smithsonian and then ask yourself, what the F does the Smithsonian do? And then put this and that together, and you'll be like, You know, there are a lot of things that have been covered up that leak just a little bit. But then you have a wonderful slander campaign online that makes anyone that says, no, there were giants in this country. You can go back and you can find it.
Yes.
Articles. But you're crazy. You're weird. That's crazy. But you know, it's not crazy is watching the Kardashians and then getting a butt lift afterwards. That's normal.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, and I'm not ragging that. I love a big fake butt, but I'm just saying, like, it depends on where they shine the eye of Saruman, like what they want you to focus on. And I'm telling, and why I love you guys, why I love anyone that does this is on that fringe. The fringe is actually bigger and more beautiful, Eden-like, than this little myopic view that we're given. So yeah, I'm like, anyone that's interested in this, you know what? They haven't killed your curiosity yet, because instant gratification culture is the one problem with it is that, yeah, you lose that sense of adventure. You're doing a vicarious voyage all the time because it's safe. Let me tell you, the worst life you will ever have is a safe life.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's living dead.
Yeah. This is going in a totally different direction. We'll come back though. I have to ask this before I forget, because, and it's a little bit more fun, but you brought up Scooby-Doo the other day.
Hell yeah. Best
right.
cartoon ever.
One of the greatest cartoons ever. It taught us a couple things, right? I think it taught us that the real monsters are us, right? I think that was the most important thing that I learned from that cartoon is the real monsters are always the human beings. That aside, Thelma or Daphne?
Both, same time, over and over and over and over and over again. Like, until I'm tired, and I high-five Fred, and he's like, all right, I guess. Yeah, no, that's you know what's nice about getting older? You start caring about these specifics, and no, you see the beauty in people, and they are both stunning.
Wait, you're married, right?
No, we're doing everything backwards. We did kids, then house, and then engage eventually, and then marriage. Yeah, so we're doing it all.
But you have somebody.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah. I'll still bust balls and joke around. I used to be a wild man, you know, like.
Well, I've heard that.
I said it. Yeah. But you fall in love, and then you decide, like, we're all looking for stuff, right? But I can just tell people the one thing that you're looking for, that next step in life is kids. 100%. I don't care what anyone tells you. That it's the next level, and it's awesome. And if you can do it, do it. And if you can't, then that's okay. We love you, but adopt.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
Matt and Daphne are 100% bang each other in those investigations. Oh, okay. I can be a little more loose with my lips on this, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we're good, dude. Listen,
oh yeah.
There's no rules here. I like to call it full contact cryptiding. We just go, man. We just go.
So I can use the N word.
No.
A nincompoop.
Oh,
got you so good. I got you in a noogie, and I got you. Even Dewey's like, yeah, you got you pretty good. You were stressing. There's sweat down your back.
And you know why? I didn't. In my mind, I'm going, he's not really going to say that. But I've had a guest on here who went a little overboard with certain things, and I didn't know he was going to talk about them. And in the moment, you go, what the hell do you do right now? Like, this guy's bashing every group there was to bash. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, do I just click the button and go, oh, we just went off the air accidentally? Oh, my God.
Well,
anyway.
There'll be no stuff like that, but I did enjoy messing with you. I hope.
Yeah, that was good. I was definitely sweating. So the most recent thing that you guys did with Outkast was the Conjuring house experiments, which first of all was in my mind, you are all tapped. You're nuts. To go into that house with no rules, right? Quote unquote. And like there was, you guys could do whatever, basically. Stuff that nobody's ever done in there, and like no one's forcing you to. You did it willingly. That's the craziest part. You put yourself in a well underground and perform this crazy experiment. Explain a little bit of that to us and what that was like.
Yeah, so I was originally supposed to do something where I was staring into a TV screen that would become like a portal with this, basically this sounds that are supposed to get you into a low theta state that Jay Prather from IDC Technologies was going to do, but that fell through. So I was like, what the hell else do I do? You know, and then we're staring at this well. And for those of you who don't know, because I didn't know either till we were there, we're sitting there, and then the caretaker of the place goes, you know why this well is in the basement of the house and not in the yard? And I was like, that is kind of weird. You just assume they built over it. Well, guess what? Today may be crazy and people may be crazy, but back in the day, it was straight gangster. Your well was inside your house because what happened is if your neighbor wanted your farm, they would just poison your well, kill everyone, your family, your animals, everything, get rid of you, and then just move their family in. And the next time the census people came around, they'd be like, who lives here now? And they didn't care. And you got a farm. So people were ruthless, never mind the Indians and everything. Yeah, true fact. So and the well is, all I can tell you is it's cold. It is like 50, low 50, you know, it's like doing a cold plunge. But you know, one thing I like to get into in squatching, there's like so many people, good stories, good these things, but nobody ever talks about how do you prepare to go? Because it is easy. You can just go. You can go camping. It's honestly, if you're new to squatching or you're listening or you're just fascinating, the greatest thing you can do is just go to a spot that you know has activity, put a campfire, hang out, and have a blast. And that's it. That's it. Like you don't have to trek through the woods and do what you don't have to do that. And if you can, camp even more remote and you'll have a better chance, you know? But that's the only advice anyone need to give anybody that wants to get into it. But to prepare for that, like you need to be able to go out in different environments, because really at the end of the day, how you have to have consistency, right? One, the animal has to get used to you to maybe mess up or maybe give you a little. But two, it's like fishing. Like the more you cast, better odds you get, right? So you just got to do it more. So you got to get into the thick. So one of the ways to do that and to be prepared to go out in winter when it's cold is doing cold plunges or ice plunges. I don't know if you guys know Wim Hof, but you basically get in water, and it's good for you in every way. It resets your immune system. You know, it makes you it just makes you more Squatch-like, in my opinion. Like you do that in the morning, you get out, your day, I don't know, it's better than coffee. It's better, not better than sex. I almost went there, Daphne. I'm sorry. But no, it's fantastic. Yeah. So I was training to do it because I knew the well. He's shaking his head, dude. He's like, no, yeah, I ain't better than that. No. Dewey's got two girls under the desk right there. I can see him. I saw a head poke up. Yeah. So I was training to do it. So I was preparing, and then what we'll tie in later at the end of the story is right before I went to actually do it, we had I believe he was the assistant director for the Conjuring films themselves. Came. He was a friend of Stacy's. Stacy hooked this whole thing up and got this thing going for it. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity to be like at the Conjuring house. But yeah, so he goes, hey, you want to know what I saw in that well? And I'm like, no, because I don't know about you guys and your investigations. I actually don't want to know the stories. I don't want to know I don't want to know anything, because then I go in with that in my head. And that could, in my opinion, ruin an authentic experience, because now I'm trying to manifest these things. So I say, no, don't tell me. Tell me after. He's like, are you sure? And I should have known when he said, are you sure? That he should have told me. And I go, yeah, none about it. I'm already freaked out enough. Let's do it. And then, yeah, getting in that water and getting down in there and realizing you're submerged in the ground. Okay. And on top of that, even if there was something in there with you, I have headphones on because we're doing an Estes method. So basically, we had the guys upstairs in the library who were asking questions while I was simultaneously buried in the earth, right? Just in the ground underneath it. Because another theory we can get into is it's what's in the ground around you. It's not so much the house, it's the land. Yep. And simultaneously, Corey, the owner at that time, we buried him 6 feet under in the yard. Yeah. You know, so he's out there in the yard, also underground though, and we're just trying to have the spirits or whatever it is, right, communicate through us. Well, if you see the film, we got some hits, we got some interesting things, and then Stacy and I actually switch, and he just jumps in and wings it because he's a crazy Florida wild man. But afterwards, when I got out of the water, he goes, "You know what I saw in that?" And I go, "What?" And I'm shaking. He's like, "The largest snake I've seen in Rhode Island come out of that well," and I was like, you should have told me that, because I wouldn't have done it. I would not. I would say, oh, all right, you know, because if you see it beforehand, no. But it turned out great, man. I don't know what to say. Like our team, you can watch a lot of videos, you can watch a lot of movies, but people aren't pushing it as much, especially as you get older. It's kind of a young kid's game when you're doing that and you're really trying crazy things. I mean, we got in the well with giant snakes, freezing to the point where you have to climb out a slip. We could have seriously got hurt. We buried a dude in the ground. You could have got hurt. We threw a seance in that house with Carl, the original OG demonologist that was there when the parents were there, brought the parents in. Like it's historical kind of what we did. It's too bad we don't have more marketing to let people know kind of really what we attempted there. You know, because we're kind of like we're like the fools you shoot out of the cannon to test it, and then you bring in the pros, kind of, you know, because you need people like us. Yeah, you do. You need people that are gonna go and test the limits and test to tell where to look. Where do we look? Where do we go? Right? What works?
It's true.
And anyway, and yeah, that seance was crazy. I mean, we got people going. We got, of course, Stace going outside, hacking it up.
Yeah, that was nuts, dude.
Dude, I didn't participate in that part of it, thankfully, but that was, yeah. Anyway, and then we also did that CIA experiment, the World Gate, and the goal was, right, and this is why you kind of need fools to rush in, was just to hit that house with so much that it exploded with, you know, spiritual energy, cosmic energy, whatever. And that was the goal. And I got to tell you, man, people did the gate after we had done all these other crazy things to boost the level. And they were running around in whatever you want to call it, an ethereal realm, the spirit realm, another dimension, or just us adjacent, shaking cots. Stacy went back and saw his family sitting on the couch, and he formed like this like black mob in the ceiling, which they kind of noticed. Dude, shit got cray. Okay, shit got cray. And, you know, if we had like $1 million budget, we would just keep hammering, because I think it's a door that if you knock enough, you'll fall through, you'll enter, you know. But yeah, we opened that place wide up. We made sweet love to the Conjuring house, and she will never be the same. She will never be the same. That's all I can tell you.
Oh God. I don't know if I would have as eloquently explained it as making sweet love. I think it might have been a little bit more dirty than that, what you guys did in there. But I think what it was needed. You're right. You know, you do need people who are slightly off their rocker to try this stuff if you want answers, because, you know, I'm not the guy. Like, if you got me in my 20s or in my 30s, all day, 100% all day, you wouldn't have been able to stop me then. Now I'm a lot more reserved with things. Like, there's certain buttons I don't push anymore. And but back then, shit, man, if you told me, hey, we're gonna bury you in the front yard with upside down crosses, and you know, I'd have been like, yeah, let's do it, man, I'm in, you know. But now I wouldn't do it. So you know, but yeah, that World Gate thing was crazy. And when I talked to James, because we had James on, who I love James too, he's a great guy. I talked to James about it.
Let's just take a moment on James. James is spectacular. Okay, James is going to be the next big voice in like the alien realm. But one interesting thing about James is wherever we go, he's like, he wants to be a part of it, but then he's the one that gets molested every time by the alien, the ghost, the spiritual Bigfoot. They're always pinching his ass and grabbing his butt. He could be a Bigfoot power bottom. He just refuses because he's a professional.
He's a great guy, he really is, and I'm really glad that I took the chance to reach out to him after you guys did the Sea Tonga film. I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting, man. Again, doing things that were different, you know. You guys had paranormal stuff happening there when you were out looking for Bigfoot, which I think is so much a part of this shit, man. I say it all the time, like, it's like fishing. You may go out and you may be looking to catch a bass, and that bass isn't biting that day, but something else is, right? You never know what you're gonna get. And it's that trickster thing where, you know, you go with a plan to get this evidence and you don't get any of that, but you end up getting something else. You get some paranormal shit or whatever. And that's what happened when you guys were out there. It was strange. You were in that house and you were getting all kind of paranormal stuff. James had you heard something walking right next to him, didn't he? Like when you guys were outside, like on the side of the road or whatever. I mean, just strange shit.
Yeah. But not only that, it was, in my opinion, another instance of infrasound being used against humans to kind of give a warning or back up, or just even a hello and a taste of their power. Because James, Jack dude, strong. I call him the
Big
back.
guy.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you're the guy that got Dorian Yates into bodybuilding, and he's there, and he's the sweetest dude, like you said. Love me some James. And next thing you know, he's keeled over, and he's just like, whoa. He's like, I got hit with something. Like, what did I get hit with? In my opinion, it's infrasound. And there, you can look it up. There's stories of hunters, dude. There's one hunter, he's up in a tree. He's been there since 4 a.m. He's watching, all the pigs are coming by, and he's sitting there, and he's been doing it for generations. And all of a sudden, right before he goes to shoot, a Bigfoot stands up and screams. And the first 5 pigs just wobble and drop, and he's behind him, 20 yards behind him in a tree, and he gets dizzy and like almost faints and gets nauseous. Like, what is that? What is that? Right? And then you just do some basic Googling and you find out that's infrasound poisoning. He got rocked. He got hit with, military has the weapons and whatnot. But anyway, it's real. And yeah, and it rocked James. And then from there, he just kept proceeding to whatever we did when we were in the house, right? Because paranormal is like, it's almost an inappropriate word, because it's like a spectrum, and they have us compartmentalized into Bigfoot, alien, UFO. You can't think like that. You have to step back and go, okay, it can be any of that or it can be none of that, but it's all connected somehow. Because you're right, you have paranormal activity, but it could have been Bigfoot activity. Why couldn't it have been Bigfoot? Could have been military, and cloaking technology around. Who knows? But yeah, we go into the next house, and he got pinched 3 times on the, like I said, on the butt and the lower thing in that window. And finally, he's like, RPG, you take it over, you do it. He's like, I'm done getting felt up. And I'm like, dude, I watched Ghostbusters as a kid. I've been waiting my whole life to wake up with a ghost going down on me. You know what I mean? Like when is that going to happen? James gets it every time he goes out. James.
My God. That's it's sluts. That's right.
He's a paranormal slut, yeah.
Do you think it's always infrasound? Do you think there can be this crossover of like some people believe they're having infrasound poisoning when it's actually EMF poisoning? Because there's a lot of this EMF stuff that comes up at the paranormal, right? Obviously we don't know for sure how these things might use the infrasound. Obviously, if they're screaming, then yeah, that makes total sense, right? But if you're not hearing anything, there's no real tangible way. Yeah. Go ahead. There's
low frequency sound.
It's true. Yeah.
Well,
true.
I'm sorry to cut you off. You finish, and then I'll jump in on low frequency.
I just because so the only thing is, like, I not that I don't believe in it. I do believe in it. I just think that there's a lot of times where people instantly go to infrasound when I think there could be EMF, because you do have this a high level of EMF in a lot of places where there's high paranormal activity, which is why people bring EMF detectors along with them, right? And the symptoms are similar. You could confusion, nausea, dizziness, that kind of thing. So I wonder if, like, people sometimes just instantly go, oh, it's got to be infrasound, and really it could be this too.
Well, you got to keep an open mind, right? Tomato. Still, you're getting hit with a frequency that disables you, essentially. Where I would lean toward infrasound, because I'm leaning more towards a flesh and bone animal that's out there that can use different vibrations and frequencies to cloak and also say, back the F up, homie. Because EMF everyone would have been feeling it, right? This was like a direct energy weapon. This only hit James. So unless James was just like, all right, all those years I went to Juilliard, I'm now going to do my Oscar moment in front of these Native Americans and make them believe that I'm in pain. And James, as you know, stand-up guy, if that's true, then this world sucks. We should all die. So it was directed, like, purposely at him. And here's something I'll give to your audience, right? Like, this is something that I've been working on for a while, and I want to complete, but it's hard to do. What is infrasound? It's low frequency sound. We know that certain animals like elephants use it, and they use it to communicate over very long distances. Now, you are a Bigfoot in your family, and you're coming through, and there's a bunch of humans in the woods that night in your migratorial, or you're just in your territory. To communicate around humans that are basically, all of our senses are gone. We're just like big eyes out in the woods. You know, we can't smell anymore. We can't hear. We can't anything. You communicate with low frequency sound. All they would have to do is send those pulses, just like elephants, just like tiger, anything, big animals, and they would be able to move without ever letting us know and ever making a sound. So that's why I lean on infrasound, because I know that it's a real thing, and I know that known animals can use it. So Bigfoot with that big old dewy chest cavity, they can use it too, you know. And that's my 2 cents. We won't know until we have a body and we study it someday. Cough it up, CIA. Come on.
Right, exactly. Or the Smithsonian. They've
They
hidden
got all
so
our
much,
giants.
yeah, they've hidden so much shit. You know, why would they? These are the questions that I always have, right? Because I always go to like their physical abilities are so far, have surpassed ours, just like light years. It's crazy. We're Fresh said it, we're useless in the woods. We're useless. We're nothing out there compared to what's out there. If they can do these things, like produce this infrasound, then why the hell are they knocking on trees? Why are they
How do we
doing
know
this?
they are?
Why are they? Oh, I guess that's true too. I mean, yes, we're assuming, right? We're assuming because no one's seen it, but it's something that's associated with them, right? It's part of the lore. It's just these things that I wonder, like, why would they do that? But I guess, you know, what the hell? There could be something else out there doing that too.
Well, we'll put it right back to infrasound, right? Low frequency sound that can travel farther than higher pitched sounds. I don't know. If imagine the 3 of us, we've only ever been in the woods. We don't have any distractions. We have just dialed into peak physical perfection. What kind of games? What kind of things would you do in the woods? I'll tell you what.
I already am though, just so you know. I'm dialed in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
fucking peak, bro.
I wish, man. I got a few lifetimes to figure that out.
I'm completely kidding. I'm not anywhere close to that.
No, I'm telling everyone, you're perfect. You're the new Jesus, you know? I'm going to go build a big teeth for you. Yeah, I think I'd be like, hey, Kyle, watch. I bet you I can make this travel farther than you bitch. And then I would hit that tree with my big ass palm, you know, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's impressive. And then you would whack it back. All mammals, right? Like one thing we have in common is how do we learn? We learn through play. And we lose that in our culture. Like there's actually a syndrome and a name for it. We start to take ourselves too serious, and then we've once again compartmentalized how we play. I only play tennis. I only this. But you should be able to do it anywhere and everywhere. I think as a species, they've mastered play, so they're always in tune. Because what does play bring? It brings pure joy, and it's selfish, but you can play selflessly with others. And so, yeah, I just think it's part of the repertoire of what they do to entertain and have fun and bust balls in the woods. I think it's that simple. And they're just like us, you know, just not as stupid.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good point, actually. And it makes sense because people talk about some of the interactions that supposedly people have with these things pretty regularly being playful interactions. You know, it seems like they're just kind of messing around. Whether it's tossing little rocks at you or, you know, coming into your camp and stealing your peanut butter or, you know, taking a beer or whatever. It's these things that they're not meant to hurt anybody. They're, you know, some of them are kind of meant to like confuse you or mess around with you or whatever, but nothing too, you know, negative or malevolent, which completely makes sense. It's interesting, man. It's really interesting. You've been all over the place, right? You've been all over the freaking world doing this shit.
Sure.
What experience to you stands out the most of every like place you've been and every experience you've had? Which one stands out the most to you?
You know, that's hard. I guess that'd fall more into like which one am I the most passionate about now? And you almost kind of always have to go with the most recent. I've had more powerful experiences, which we can I can tell you my most favorite one, but um, we moved into this property, and on 7/7, July 7th at 7 o'clock, we had a sighting here on our property. And if you're a squatcher at all, the dream is to cohabitate. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
dream. That's why anyone that makes it, they move out remote, hoping that that happens. And that happened here, right? And that's like mind blowing. And to go back, just what we were talking about, it's like look at a lot of these interactions with Squatch. A lot of the videos, there's kids. We go back, kids are playing. There's play. It's a different energy. It's a different vibration. You know what it is? It's a joyous vibration, and there's no
Yeah.
fear. There's no animosity. There's nothing. And how do you get close to animals? You got to build that trust. And kids close the bridge so fast. So to tie into our story, I'm working on the shitter in the yard because you know you buy a house and you basically buy a money pit, and you just everything fails when you get it. And you're like, how come we didn't know this before we freaking bought it? So I'm dealing with a shithole, and I got the boy with me, and he's supposed to be hanging out with the missus, and they are over on the swing set, and they're going, you know, they're making owl calls, practicing because it's basically I can sit on my porch, the river's right there, and I just sit out there every night and I listen, you know, and I try to talk, communicate, whatnot. But they're doing that. But what are they really doing? They're just playing. They're and they're on a swing, so they're throwing energy into the woods and back and forth. You know, it's like you got to almost look at the invisible world, which we are not. I'm not adept. No, none of us are adept at. And wouldn't you know it, they're doing that 7/7 at 7 at some point because I didn't check it till later in 7 o'clock. This thing comes crashing through the bushes, and I'm stomping over to her because I'm pissed because I got the boy. You know, in a relationship, you're not always a super nice guy. So I'm coming over like, and I see the bushes like shaking big time. And we have deer on the property, and when 5 deer run into the trees, that's what it looks like. So what do we do? This is how humans, you know, I've already seen that. So that's what it is. I'm back to being pissed about this kid playing in the shed. And I go over and she suddenly goes, there's a man over there. And if you know Florida and there's a man in the backwoods of your property walking around, you're probably going to want to go do something about that. Because that's
Yeah.
that's you want some flaca? Dewey, flaca? No. I like my caffeine. So I head over there and I'm like, a man. And I know that area. That was the back end of our property. And I hadn't cleared it out yet to see what we got there. It's overly verdant, like just too lush. Ain't nobody going through there. And then right before that, there were people riding dirt bikes. Like it was like the first day after a major storm. There's a lot of facts to it. I don't want to bore people, but
No,
was just for like
don't.
hours.
It's not boring. Tell us. It's not boring.
Okay. So there's just I'm always afraid I'm gonna lose people because I'm like, there's so much to tell. And so we just heard for like 2 hours, right? Kids are having fun, but you know, you're a homeowner. So now you're like, after 10 minutes, you're like, I want to call the cops like my dad would. But we didn't. We're still cool. We're still hip. But the storm had just rolled through. I think they ride the rivers in the storms like we ride roller coasters. And the constant was a perfect background noise for something that can move almost silently, even if it weighs 800 pounds. And it was cruising back. It went out. It had a wonderful night rolling down, wrestling gators, and just enjoying the storm. And it was coming back, and it heard joy. It heard joy, and it was curious, like we would be curious. You see something marvelous, you can't help but be like drawn to it. And anyway, so it comes out and it stands essentially face to face with the missus, and she's just kind of dumbfounded. So anyway, and then it turns and it moves so quickly that she swore that it was on a dirt bike. And what do we know from certain Bigfoot footage that we've seen or whatnot? They're almost like Irish dancers. Their upper body is so still, and they move in this very interesting manner that looks like they're riding a bike. So once again, in my head as a squatcher, I'm like, what did you say? Really? Like man in the woods, weird, and moving so smooth, you thought it was on a bike. And I'm like, honey, do you hear the motorcycle? It stopped like 10 minutes ago. And where would it go? There's nowhere to go in the woods. I mean, I'm talking, you can't go anywhere. All these palmetto palms. So I go back there, and even though Florida looks flat, it's strangely hilly. So from the spot where we're looking, she's like, it just looked like a normal heighted person, maybe a 6-foot person, right? And I get over there to where the tree was, where its head was just above, and I raise my hand up, and I can't put my hand above it. So this thing's over 9 feet, whatever it was. And yeah. And now at that point, she hasn't come over yet. I'm the hairs are up. I'm unbelievably, it's like that dream you have where you won the lottery and you wake up and you're like, yeah, fuck oh, dang.
Yeah.
Oh man. So she comes over, and these are the things that you can't fake. And I've just interviewed so many people, thankfully, to working on finding Bigfoot, that you meet these people. And they tell their same stories 20 years later, and they have the same reaction. The pupils dilate, the hair on the arms goes up, and we all, dude, instinct, we have to bring back our intuition. When you're hearing something truthful. When she came over and when she looked up at that branch, I watched her eyes go owl wide, and I knew. And she was like, no way. And I'm like, way. She's like, no way. I'm like, what did it look like? She's like, it happened so fast. I'm like, what did it look like? Any color, anything? She's like, obviously it was tall, but it wasn't like you describe it with big, broad shoulders. But once again, we're in Florida. Do you see the videos, specifically out of Starkey Park, right where I live? It's tall and lean. And she goes, I don't know, like an orangish, reddish, darkish, brownish. And I'm sitting there with a heart on, just bang, like, and I went through the woods. I went everywhere. I looked for tracks. I found nothing, and I didn't see it. I saw the branches move, and that was it. But straight visual, kids saw it, but kids don't remember shit. And that happened basically right after we moved in. And then we made the mistake. If you're cohabitating, unless it's a really good spot, don't get big dogs. You can get little dogs. I think we should have little dogs. But big dogs, we've watched the nature. We had deer, we had river, we had everything, and we've watched it go farther out. And if we keep the dogs locked up or whatever for a few days, it'll come back. But we kept it away. But we have all these, we have chicken, we have all these things. We have a little farm we're getting going here. So we need them, unfortunately. But yeah, that is my most recent, because dude, that's at home. And when she looked at me and she goes, and with those big wide eyes, big beautiful eyes that I fell in love with, her dad eyes, and she goes, are we safe? And I go, think about it. Think about what you saw, how fast it moved. If it really wanted to interact with us in that way, none of us would stand a chance. None of us. No. None of us. Even if I had 2 guns loaded, pointed at it, I'm telling you, it just doesn't matter. So no, I think we're very safe. I think it was incredibly curious about you because you are beautiful and you have giant squash boobs and you have beautiful babies. And I think we're just drawn to that, And no, so funny thing, right? So these kind of things tend to happen in these weird 2-week periods, which leads some of us to believe that they migrate or at least move from spot to spot to spot, which is what I would do if I was on the run from the cops or something, right? You got to keep moving. I would normally hit the That's really funny. Sorry, man.
No, that's Joe. He's always like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love you, Joe. That's you got me. So anyway, within that 2-week period, so at the tail end of it, once again, her, not me. That's why any females listening to this, you have a better chance of having an interaction with some kind of hum in the woods than any of the dudes on this program. Any of them, especially if you bring a kid, or if you're on your period. I know it sounds crazy, but remember, we can't smell, but everything out in the woods can smell and can tell, and they will be drawn to you. Anyway, that's a sidebar. So she's on the rag and she's upstairs in the room pissed off at me, and she's trying to go to bed and she can't. And here's a weird thing too. People talk about like different types of animals being around when they have these experiences, right? Whether it's coyotes or owls. We have both, but we have this owl. And this owl, how do I describe this owl? It's so weird. I can't get a good shot of it. You can't get close enough, but it's almost as if it doesn't have feathers. It looks kind of like a ghoul owl. I don't know, but it's different than all the other owls around here. And it will get kind of bizarrely close unless you try to do something. And it's sitting out the window, right? And just calling and calling so much that she jumps out of bed, goes out on it. We have a balcony, a 3rd-story balcony up here. And she goes out on it to yell at this owl, go to bed, I need to sleep. And when she goes out, there's nothing there. And she turns and looks to her left. And so imagine in the tree is this shape, not super huge, not like giant squatch. If it was anything, it was a young one, but it's in the tree and it starts to like undulate and move. And you know, she's seen raccoons, she's seen bear, she's seen all these things. She didn't know what this was, and she screams. And then she tries to go in the door, and of course, the door in the damn money pit house doesn't work very well, so she can't get it open very fast. Now she's pissed about that with me too. And then when she goes to look back because she can't get in, she looks, and it's gone. Okay, it's just gone. And she says to me, I go, okay, once again, you know, you need to freeze instead of like having fight, flight, or freeze. She's just run.
Gone.
You need to look at time. And she goes, well, if you told me that there were sloths like indigenous to these woods, then that's what I saw. So listen, she's no nonsense pantyhose, you know what I mean? I love telling stories, I love it, you know, exaggerating and stuff, but she's straightforward. And she had 2 experiences within that 2-week time on the property. I think they were very curious here and very curious about us and to kind of see. And I don't know, I romantically, I'd like to think they're keepers of these regions and they kind of keep track of them and see, you know, how bad we're messing them up or not, and maybe give us warnings or little things that, but yeah, that was it. And I'm sorry, man, I'm hooked for life. I'm magical. My goal now is to follow the river all the way up, because you want another secret, find the springs. Right? If water is basically God, right? We're all made of it. We're mostly of it. You want to find the purest sources of water. And I'm not talking about the one in the middle of the city, you know, that everyone's at. Go into the woods. You find that, and I think you'll find all sorts of life. You'll find the largest predators, largest animals, and you'll find whatever hominid is out there. So my goal is to eventually track it all the way up and get in there. You know, just got to get over the whole gator thing.
Oh yeah, right. Screw that.
No fair.
The women and the children thing, man, it's so crazy. I had a guy on this show about 6 months ago, and he had one of the craziest. I hate saying story because story just sounds like it's fake, but he had one of the craziest ongoing experiences on his property that I've ever heard in my life. And
awesome.
I am very, very objective about things. I am skeptical about hearing certain, you know, my bullshit meter is really good. And I would bet anything that this guy told the truth, not to mention the fact that he had evidence to back it up. He had some video shit that was really crazy and pictures that, while the quality of the picture was crappy, he did the right thing. And he went back and took pictures of himself there in the same spot. And when you see that, and you see this thing with its arm wrapped around this tree, and he stands next to the tree, and looks like a tiny little baby, and his arm can't reach anywhere around this thing. You're like, well, there's something massive there. But the thing that awesome. He had 3 kids, man. One of the children, and this is how he started knowing that there was something going on, is that the kid started saying things. His kid's riding his little go-kart down the driveway, and he goes, well, that man's not going to get me now. And what are you talking about? The man's not going to get you now. And the kid would say, the man at the bus stop who watches me every morning. And he's like, what do you mean? And of course he's like, and I was like most parents, where I thought, my kids are staying up too late and watching too much shit on YouTube. Like, this is all imaginative. You know? So this kept happening, and then it came to the window, and the kid freaked out. He went to the parents' room, and he was so freaked out, he refused to sleep in his bedroom until they taped black construction paper over the window and then put blackout curtains over it. He would not sleep in there otherwise. The little girl, one of the little girls, they didn't find this out until later on. She was autistic. And she spent literally her routine. If you know about autism, you know routine is a big thing. Her routine was on that swing set all day, every day. She had to be fought to come inside, right? And she started getting a little bit weirded out there, and she would say things that would make her parents go, what is she talking about? Right. And then he finally saw one, and it was watching her on the swing set from only about 20 yards away. And that changed everything. That was it. He was like, holy shit, like these things are here. I don't know what to do. He's trying to, but I'm not going to tell the whole story, but basically this went on for quite a while. He did, he went about it his way. He didn't want him there because he thought his kids were in danger. That's how he felt.
Sure.
And everybody has their own feelings about this stuff, right? He just was like, nope, not me, not here, not my kids. The other part of that story that makes me believe that it's true is that they had a home, right? They lived at on this beautiful piece of land, a lot of land in their home, and he uprooted the whole family in the middle of the school year, or well, not middle, but during the school year, right after Christmas, moved them to his in-laws into a 25-foot camper because of how fearful he was for their safety. They couldn't bring many of their Christmas presents and their toys, and now they're living in this camper instead of a home, and like whole life uprooted. Who does that if it's fake?
That's committed. He's a method actor.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's a method actor. Yeah, but the point is that
that's insane. Yeah,
the kids, man, the kids. That was the driving force behind it. I don't know what your thoughts are on. Have you ever read Christopher Noel's book about the autism and the Bigfoots? No. Okay, so this is really interesting.
It's on the list now.
What's that?
Yeah,
it's on the list.
It's on the list now.
It's a great book. It's very interesting. I've worked with autistic people for years, among people with mental health issues, drug addictions, whatever, the gamut. But
thank you. That's true service. Thank you.
No, you have to thank me. But so
not on my knees. Thank you.
Chris made a lot of really amazing correlations between the two. A lot of the behaviors the Bigfoots exhibit are so similar to these autistic behaviors, right? People talk about seeing them rock, that thing they do, that sway back and forth. They see them swaying behind the trees. That's a typical autistic behavior where they rock or they sway. It's a comforting thing. It makes them feel safe and good. The order, they have to have order in a certain type of way, and it's usually like in these very intricate ways. Now, he kind of related that to some of these tree structure things that you find where not the rudimentary stuff, but like I've seen one that blew my mind that to this day, I swear there's no way a human could have made it. There's no way a group of humans could have made it. You would have had to have been out there for days on end and had some kind of knowledge of engineering. I mean, there were thousands upon thousands of sticks that were woven together to create a tunnel, literally a tunnel. And at the end of that tunnel, it opened up into a room that was bigger. And it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Okay. Now, there's other people that have explained seeing things like this too, that resemble like giant beaver dams, but in the woods. And they're 2 levels. Like something could sleep up top, something could sleep in the bottom. Like thousands of sticks creating it. So there's that. But I'm not going to tell the whole thing, but the correlation that he made between autistic people and then the behaviors that Bigfoot and them share, so interesting. The drumming, the knocking on the trees. Drumming is something that a lot of autistic kids will do. They'll tap on things, they'll drum things. Knocking on the trees, these Sasquatch do. It's really interesting, and it makes me wonder, because most of those things that for the autistic people is to make them feel comfortable, happy, and safe. It goes back to what you talk about with being this joyfulness, right? Being attracted to joy, doing things that bring joy. That to me sounds just like that.
Yeah,
In some kind of way.
Yeah, it's wonderful. That's going to be an exciting read. Because there's a few things going on there. There's a video circulating now on Instagram with this horse, with a soldier on it. And when other people come up to it, the horse bites him or kicks him away. But then a lady with autism comes up, and the horse is gentle with her.
Bingo.
Once again, picking on something. There you go, neurodivergent. Yep. Picking up on something that we're not picking up on. But I think what you can see is you can tell that they are one in their own state of joy and they are harmless. Now, with a Bigfoot, I think there's a few other factors. I think it's there's a lot of things happening, right? And that could be the main thing. They're autistic and they recognize autism and they're drawn to it. That could be, right? But they're also apex predators. And in the real world, when you get out there with an apex predator, what does an apex predator hunt and eat? The elderly and the babies. That's what you go after. And why do you go after them? You go after them because there's less risk of injury. Yeah. Because in the real world, you get injured, and it could be game over for you. You can't keep up, you can't hunt anymore, you can't do anything. So I would like to believe that they're evolved enough to where they still have more of their apex instinct in them. So they're drawn because they're like, that's an easy kill. But like us, they're able to take it a step further and enjoy it more, right? So she's rocking on this swing. One, you're right, it's habitual. So it creates a pattern that is constant. One, it's sending out vibrations and frequency. I'd love to get on it and see if that's even creating a small bit of infrasound. I don't think that could do it. You need like a big diesel engine or a big, but it might be, but it might just be enough to send a noise out that would attract something that's sensitive to it. They might just be coming over and be like, cut it out, like, what the hell? You're just irritating me. But it's also a pattern. And what does that allow? Once again, in the hunt, the pattern, it allows them to relax because they know they're not going to be seen. And they do this all the time. And it's probably going to continue until the larger one in the house yells for them to come in. So it's like, you can come and stare at your prey and be safe. And then on top of that, yeah, I think who doesn't like watching kids play and have fun? And who doesn't like to do that themselves, Possibly against a lack of fear. I'll speak with you on the sunshine. Yeah. And that's it. That goes back to the joy. Like if, say you came across someone in the woods and it's dark, so they don't see you yet, but they're scared to death. Do you approach as a nice person? You're like, you don't want to scare them more. So me, if I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to go around, like I'm not trying to add any more drama to their day. And it could be just like them being courteous too, Yeah. But I don't know. There's just so many pieces to it. It's more like an onion, I think. I don't think it would just be autism or just be their prey. They're not going to do it. Yeah. And who knows, man? Just like us, there's lots of different types of them out there. I think the most that we mostly deal with are the teenagers. I think the old ones are too smart. They don't come around. The babies are protected. But just like us, like when you were a kid, when did you sneak out? You snuck out at night when your parents were sleeping. Well, they sneak out at the tail ends of night, because their parents aren't up yet. And they're like, yeah, I'll meet you at the old falls on the other side of the city. Let's run through the town. Like, that's what I would do. I would ask you guys to do that tonight if Chris watches. Let's try not to get caught. You get caught, you suck. You buy the salmon.
It's true, though.
Yeah.
So do you believe, or do you think that that apex predator in them, because we don't hear, you told your wife, like, when she said, are we safe? You said, listen, if they wanted to do something, they could do it in an instant. They could have us. That'd be it. Not even a challenge. So do you believe that they are mostly benevolent creatures? Or do you think that there are instances where they will and do still attack human beings?
Oh yeah. I think they absolutely. You get the wrong one, it's like you get the wrong person, they're going to throw a punch at you. I just believe when you are Beowulf, or Grendel, whatever way you want to look at it, when you are the epitome of physical perfection and you can catch, eat, and get anything you want, why would you mess around with a mostly disease-riddled, radically unhealthy eating, for the most part, human beings, that even if you do and you find a good one, that's an organic one, I'm gonna eat that one.
She's a vegan.
It creates trouble. Yeah, he's a vegan. Oh, nice. I'm having a salad tonight in meat form. Um, you know, you just we cause, like, there's instances like look at gators, look at big cats. Like they're all around people all the time. India, here in Florida, but they don't mess with humans because they know we're the top dog. Could they take us like that one individual person? Absolutely. But then hundreds of us show up, and it's not even the hunt, because could they evade us in the hunt? Absolutely. But guess what? Then condominiums pop up there, and my favorite place in the world to go, that I've been going with my daddy Squatch since I was a kid to hunt bullfrogs, is now buried under a condo. You don't want humans there. You don't want any attention. You don't want any of that, because we're conquerors. We are conquerors. We're there might be other things out there, and maybe even farming us, I don't know, but in the realm that we can see, we are that top, and I think they respect that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you might be right. That's a good question, Mike. Do you think most Sasquatches go their entire lives without laying eyes on a human? What do you think?
No. I think they could, and I think there's some that are just like us. They're more pure, they're like, I will never go into the human realms. But what is one thing that all mammals share as well? It's curiosity. That's how we learn. That's how we get better, so that our genes can be passed on and they can thrive better. So honestly, if I was a Squatch in the way humans work, unless there's some kind of accord that they have with humans we don't know about, you keep an eye on humans, because when they start to get too close, you adjust. So, and maybe they have certain people that do that, because it is dangerous. It's dangerous. We're dangerous, even though they're the top of the top. We're dangerous. So I think it's possible, but no, curiosity, I think, would bring them to the edge of the lights. Think about it. You're in the woods, and I used to drive back to Los Angeles sometimes from Vegas and stuff at night, and just as you crest like a certain hill, boom, there it is, and it looks like Oz. And listen, I'm for all nature views and all that, but it's spectacular and it's cool to look at. And you're a young Squatch on a date, you know what I mean? You're gonna hey, let's go stare at that big city, and then let's finger bang, So yeah, I think they're drawn to things just like us. They're drawn to the beauty of the world and things that we've created, but they stay as far as they can, because we are psychotic.
You know what? I forgot to mention this earlier, when we were talking about the Conjuring house and you talked about the land. It ties into this Bigfoot thing. I had been contacted by an elderly, well, not by them, but by a person who was in contact with an elderly couple who lives up near the Conjuring house. And I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know where that house was, honestly, until like a few months ago.
Yep.
I knew it was in Rhode Island. I just didn't know where. And so these people were having strange things happen on their property. They own a large parcel of property that is butted up to some large forested land and protected land. And they didn't know. The old man had no idea what was going on. He kept blaming it on kids, even though the closest neighbor was 1.5 miles that way. The other one was 2 miles that way. They were all mostly elderly. The kids had been grown up and left, and whatever. But he had mentioned these things over and over to a colleague at work, and the colleague at work had said, some of this sounds like the stuff my wife talks about. She's into this Bigfoot stuff. And of course the old man goes, ha 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 ha. Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, as it continued, he ended up going out one day and found 17-inch footprints walking from his yard down the trail that he made with the ATV into the woods. And that was when he said, okay, can you contact somebody? Do you know somebody? And just by chance, his wife, they live in Connecticut, in northern Connecticut. Yeah. His wife is a part of my group on Facebook, which I don't even really do anything with mostly.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. But so that they contact me and they say, hey, listen, these people are having this stuff happen. Would you want to go check it out? I was like, yeah. Absolutely. I want to go check it out because it's like you talk about cohabitation, a private land with ongoing activity is the dream. And so I went up there. The very first time I went up there, it was 2 days after that, those footprints were laid, because he contacted me that day after work. And then, it was 2 days later. We got a rainstorm the next day, and I knew we were getting a rainstorm. And I said, can he somehow cover those prints? And the guy said,
nice.
well, he covered the prints, so I was able to go up and video them and record and all that stuff. And they were clear, dude. They were clear, 5 toes, heel, mid-tarsal break, everything that you look for.
Congratulations.
53 inches in between each step, and like just crazy. Well, I started having stuff happen at this place that people talk about that I'd never experienced before. Rock throwing, weird, like you'd hear bipedal footsteps. You could clearly tell it was bipedal, but it's so thick out there that you cannot get, like, certain areas you just can't get into. You really can't. Like there's a swamp that is 5 to 6 feet deep. So you're not putting waders on and walking in it. It'd be up to your face. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's where they was just beyond that swamp. It make perfect sense. But so I was having those things happen, and then they stopped. The old people were having them happen on and off for years. And they would happen, they would stop, and they would happen, they would stop. But then this is the weird part. I got sick, what I call sick, multiple times there. It would happen out of nowhere. It was exactly what we talked about earlier with this like infrasound EMF thing. 10 minutes after leaving, I felt fine. Every time I felt fine. The thing that I was like wonder is that land, like you talked about, the Bridgewater Triangle, the Conjuring house, that's King Philip's War, all of that bloody history and the shit that went on there. I wonder if all of that land up there is somehow stained, because it was a strange place, man. It was a weird place. And I was going all the time. The other thing I was having happen was electrical interference or electronic interference with stuff. Like things would just die. They would full charge, dead, from 98% to dead in like 3 or 4 minutes.
We had that happen at the Conjuring house.
Dude, I never experienced that in my life. I thought people were lying about it. Like, I just like, you guys are crazy. This is stupid. And then I got bluff charged. I don't know by what. I can't tell you because I couldn't see it, but I got bluff charged. It was the only time in my life, and I got goosebumps right now. It was the only time in my life that I've ever pulled my gun out, like pulled it out and was ready to shoot. As I was stumbling and running backwards. It was also the only time that I've ever experienced the smell that people talk about. And it smelled like a hot porta potty. That's what I smelled. Like it was, it just smelled like a weird urine, stale, like swampy smell. It was gross. And it came out of nowhere. After that, what's that?
They might have glands that secrete, just like some animals do, that can, for mating or for warning. So that's dude, bluff. Sorry, but what were you doing in the moment that you got a bluff charge? Were you penetrating the
I was
the area?
So my whole goal was there's the northeast corner of that property is where where I got the audio that I got from there. I forgot even to say that I recorded audio there. These crazy scream howl things that I've never heard in my life, coming from this northeast corner where he kept saying that he would hear this stuff happen too. I left the recorder out for 2 nights, went back, got it. Now here's the other part of this. I put it in a dead stump, put leaves over it. During the recording, and you can pinpoint because I knew what time I left it out. I wrote it down, whatever, and then so I could follow the timeline. At it was like 2:37 a.m. Something comes walking into that area. Heavy footsteps, sticks breaking under its feet. You hear what sounds like this like grunt type of noise. Then you hear heavy breathing. 2 wicked clear loud tree knocks. I'm talking like clear as you've ever heard in your life.
Man.
Then something picks the recorder up. You can hear it, pick it up, fiddle with it, breathing while it's doing it, all that weird, noise of hands or whatever, tapping on it or whatever. And then you hear it fall to the ground. You can hear it hit the ground, dump. And then you hear this thing mess around for a while, a couple more minutes, walks away. You don't hear anything else. Then
Wow.
an hour later, you hear those screams, right? So I was trying to get into that area, but that area is where the swamp is. And then all this real thick pricker briars, like it's a very difficult area. And I kept trying to get back there. And every time I'd go, I would get a little further, a little further, a little further. And so when I went this time, there was a down tree that he had for years. This tree had been there, and it was a big tree. It was probably 35 or 40 feet tall, maybe that big around, right? He had used it as a border for the side of the ATV trail. And when I went up there, it was across the trail. It had been moved, right?
How much do you think it weighed? Like hundreds of pounds?
Hundreds. It had to, no, not 1,000, but I would say easily 400 or 500 pounds, I would guess, maybe more. I mean, I'm trying to
Not
be
something most of us would move for fun. Yeah.
No, why would you? Right. And
Right.
it's 40 feet long, dude. Like it's not going to be an easy move. Even if it's 200 pounds at 40 feet long, it's very awkward. But it had to been at least 500 pounds. I'm just trying to be conservative.
Sure.
And so anyway, I'm filming that tree and I'm talking about it and I'm like, man, this is weird, like that couldn't have been done like accidentally. That had to have been done on purpose. And a couple other things I noticed. And as I'm pushing into that area, what the hell was that? Okay, sorry. My computer's made a weird noise. As I'm pushing into that area, all of a sudden, that's when I get the smell. It just comes out of nowhere, and it's like smacks you. It's like boom, like holy shit, man, what is that? And I just kind of stood there for a minute because I got this overwhelming feeling that something was watching me. I mean, like burning a hole in the back of my head where I instantly start like spinning around and looking. And I'm by myself, by the way. Like I was going out by myself all the time.
You have great cojones.
I do not, because I'm scared to death. I'm telling you, I'm scared as shit when I'm out there. And then this happens. All of a sudden, I hear these trees start making noise off in the distance, about probably about 50 yards away. And then I just hear the heaviest, loudest, like stomping, running towards me, things breaking. And then I'm literally backpedaling, about to fall over, reaching for my gun, cocking it back, shaking, and it stops. It just stopped. And then I turned around and fucking ran, dude. And I'm fat as shit. And so I only run if there's cops. And I ran, man.
Or an open buffet.
Yeah. I took off. And I didn't go back there for a very long time because it scared the hell out of me. I mean, it literally scared the shit out of me. Now, again, I can't say what it was.
You had primal fear. You felt something that most people never experience that level of fear, and it moves you and it changes you. I felt that a few times. Just a comment on that, which is really interesting. If people want, so you describe being watched, but you couldn't see anything, right? Weird. How does that work? I'll tell you how it works. There's a guy named Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, and he's written all these books. They're fringe books. That's why they're not mainstream. But he proved in an experiment that they were basically using the security cameras in shopping malls and stuff to watch people. And this is just known basically etiquette when you're doing your job. If you're watching someone that you think is about to steal, you don't stare at them because they know they can be watched. Well, they know they're being watched, and then they'll stop or turn and actually look at the camera. So they're trained to just keep an eye, and kind of wait till they do it. And then what this guy, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, found out is that, yeah, when you stare at someone, you're actually touching them. And we'll just kind of leave it there because that's kind of profound. Like, what, really? But that's why you feel it, because on this electric level, on this smaller vibration, you feel it, and you're actually being touched by their vision. And the more intense their intention or what they're vibing towards you, the more you feel it. And then that can sway from like joyous to like when you're in love and you're with someone you care about and you're staring into his eyes, it gets more powerful. There's a reason. You're already making love. You don't even know it. But if it goes the opposite direction, it's going to scare a large gentleman like yourself, armed, to crap their pants and run.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were touched by a Sasquatch, you lucky son of a bitch.
It was it was very it was terrifying. Like I said, I was going up there like every weekend, at least one day for hours, sometimes 2 days, right? And then this happened. That was it. I was done. I'm done. I'm like, wow. I can't, not by myself. Like I felt too much like I had overstepped my bounds, and I didn't know what it was, what it was. I knew it was trying to tell me like I had gone too far, but I didn't know if whatever it was trying to tell me like, you ain't welcome back here no more, pal.
Sure. You're the luckiest guy ever. That's amazing. Like your story,
I don't know about lucky.
Everything. You had everything happen to you, from the smell to the blood. Like I've never had a bluff charge. I haven't even smelt the smell yet.
I'd never smelt it. I'd never smelt it. And again, it was one of those things I kept thinking, like, are people making this up? Like, it's another thing I want to talk to you about, right? So what's your thoughts on the hitchhiker thing?
What is your intent, right? And like how much do you believe in it, and how much of a threat are you to them? Some people have it. I think they already have it. I think they already have their own demons and whatnot, because I have done the most gnarly things you can possibly do, from the Conjuring house to Deepwood experiments like yourself to charging in when I hear it. And I've never had anything like that happen. And I'd like to credit that simply because I don't give them that power over me. And I don't believe it. Now, if it happened, that'd be kind of cool. But what would happen if that happened? The only difference I think between you and I is when it chased you out, I would have gone home, crap my pants, and I would have said, how do I change my approach? Because you did it, my friend. Like you did it. You were there. You were next to them. And it's, what is your ultimate goal? My ultimate goal is to bridge the gap between us and be one of the few that actually communicates with them and maybe inspires the rest of humanity to be better with nature and to go back to nature instead of diving farther into technology, which is just going to reset the whole world again. So, and I think they know that. So if they know that, why mess with me? I'm like someone that's, that guy's going to get involved, I don't know. I don't like the hitchhiker thing. That adds this like kind of evil tone to it, and I think all that's made up, storytelling for us. There's no good or evil in the world. There's just your actions and reactions, and that's it. And what your culture dictates as right or wrong, good or evil, and everything. So no, I don't like it. But you have all these people claiming that it follows them home. I got a good friend, Matt Williamson, and he did some stuff, and then his house became very active. And I guess what I'm trying to babble to is, I think it was always active. I think these certain people are just more in tune. And then when you go get close, when you go get radiated by this, whatever form of radiation we haven't figured out yet, you come back, it gets stronger. And I think that's what you're dealing with. Because at the end of the day, God, like we're harmless. Like we're harmless. They know that we're harmless.
Yeah, we could do nothing to them.
Yeah, why torture me afterwards? Like, and then they knew you ran out, you never came back. They were like, got it. Done, right? But honestly, I don't know. I couldn't give you a solid on that.
Yeah, Dewey, you've had plenty of paranormal encounters in your life. What do you think about this whole hitchhiker thing?
Well, I believe if you go somewhere like a flea market or a estate sale or something like that, there's certain objects you can buy that may be attached to. old walking canes, rocking chairs are notorious. Jewelry, things like that. Old dolls, especially, old dolls that kids have played with for years, and they passed away. And the dolls I have a whole cabinet full of old dolls that date back into the 50s. They had a party one night, woke me up,
Really?
and I walked in, and there was not a person in the room anywhere. I looked over at the dolls, and I said, "Okay, y'all girls, just go back to sleep. Let me go back to sleep." And they straightened up. Hey, while I got the mic for a second, I have a grandnephew that's having a 33rd birthday today, and I wanted to wish him, Joe Wicks, a happy birthday. He's at church right now, but he will be home afterwards. He's going to watch a show afterwards, so I just want to wish him happy birthday.
Happy
He's a special
birthday.
guy.
Yeah, happy birthday, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've never had anything follow me home. We always do a prayer of protection before we actually go into the site, and when we come out, we'll do another prayer, and then we'll ask them to stay there where they're at, not follow us home. And so far, I haven't had anything I know follow me home. I do have three of them that live in my house now, but I think they were here. They're attached to the house, not to anything I brought in. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've heard many people say things like that, like, oh, I went out here and I'd never had any activity before at my house. And then all of a sudden, after I went to this place and had this stuff happen, then it started happening at my house. But I think it's more like what you're talking about too. I think that those people already have something, whatever it is, they have that something that makes these things, more open to them or want to, be around them, whether it's they're an easy target or, to kind of connect to, or what's the word I'm looking for? Attach to, have one of those attachments, something that I always fear when I'm in a place that's got paranormal activity, is that attachment. I'm a perfect target for it. I have the background that, they say like, oh, if you suffer from depression or PTSD or any of this shit, then you probably don't want to be out there. And I'm all those things. So,
well, there's hope for people though. And I'll throw something out to you. If anybody has a cursed item or an item that they feel is attached with something, or even there's a part of their home where they're like, yeah, I don't go into that part of the basement because there's something there. Look at like where people mostly see ghosts, just for example. And where is it? It's like graveyards. We have all these will-o-wisps and stuff in swamps, right? In these areas. And what are these areas basically, or even in city, like in a house, but what are these all areas have in common? And once again, it could be many things, but it's DNA. Like we live in a big soup of DNA. And if there is something monitoring this, be it God or technology or advanced human, whatever, they monitor it. And that's why. So if DNA, and which is special to our world, is key, then what you do is you watch. You have a cursed item, and you're like, I swear this thing's weird. Do a DNA scrub, bleach it, kill any handprints that could have been on it. If it's real human hair in it, like bleach, kill the DNA, and all of your activity vanishes. If you're in your house and the house is haunted, go through and bleach every wall, bleach that whole section of the basement, and your activity will stop. And I implore anyone that's dealing with anything hardcore, that's what you do, because in my opinion, that's what they're there for. It's not a ghost, not a demon. They didn't come back to punish you for your sins of masturbating before marriage. It is DNA that's important and monitored and kept track of, and that's it. That's all you have to do. So try it, and if anyone ever does, please get in touch with Kyle or Dewey, and then get in touch with me and tell me if it works. Tell me if I'm full of shit or if it's a true, cure-all or cure.
That's interesting.
Yep, DNA scrub. DNA, it's what's important. You're important. That's why we're all important. We're amazing.
Just to be clear, he's talking about get in touch with me about the DNA scrub, not about if you masturbated heavily before marriage. All right.
Yeah. Although he wants to hear about that too, but that's
you can contact me, and I'll then give you his number. You can tell him that story.
Yeah. Well, just one part of my adventure is really in life is I don't want to be afraid anymore. You know, I grew up like us all, like thunderstorm, you're hiding under your bed, and you watch Poltergeist, and
That
then
was
you're
me,
like,
and that was me.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was me. And I don't want that. And I don't want my kids to have that. And I just like to find some answers that help people because not everyone's into it. Like I'm into it now. If I got a cursed thing and it's moving around the room, I'm studying it. I'm fascinated. I'm all in, you know. But most people don't want to deal with that BS. And I don't blame them. It's not what gets them off, right? And
Yeah.
if they have it and they have a real problem, do a DNA scrub and watch what happens. That's it.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Dewey, you got any questions for him? You're always so quiet.
I'm sitting there listening. You know, like a wise old man once said, it's better to remain silent and thought a fool than to speak up and remove all doubt.
Oh boy.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on here every week. It's only every once in a while we get a guest like this. So I'm sitting here listening. So
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
taking it all in.
This has definitely been very, very, very interesting, very fun. And I won't keep you too much longer. I'll hop off here soon anyway. What do you think about this UAP shit? This the jellyfish thing and the aliens in the mall. Like, what's your thoughts on this stuff, man?
It's tough to have kind of a clear thought on it because as technology is increasing, now even the simplest of us can get online and create something like that and put it out there. And you know, most people don't have the tools then to take it, break it down, look at it, see where they've created the image or faked the image. So I don't know. I honestly, I sit in the camp where you got Project Bluebeam and you just have government and other organizations that kind of keep us in check and monitor us and whatnot. And I think a lot of it is just distraction. I think it's distraction. You want to know what you should care about besides Bigfoot, ghosts, and having a hobby like that is where your tax money goes. That's it. Amen. Closed, over. That's it. Flat tax. Everyone pays the same. I don't care if you're a billionaire or you're on welfare. You make $100, you pay $10 of it. You make $1 million. You know what I mean? And I think it's that simple. So I think it's all kind of. Kids are going down to bed, so it could get wild in here. And I think that's it. And I think intermixed in that, just like with Bigfoot videos and whatnot, there is some real ones in truth. And nowadays, it's really hard to figure out which one. So you have to find your person that you trust, the person that is connected or more passionate about it than you, that will do the extended research and go, no, I really think this one is something. So I'm open to it all. I think it could all be real, but I'm always hesitant on things that pop up out of nowhere that I've never even heard of before, that it's all of a sudden like, what, like jellyfish ones? I'm like, okay, you know, the what is it, the black knight that's been floating around in our atmosphere. Now that one I'm intrigued by because that's been around for a while. What is that, right?
Wait, what is this? The Black Knight?
Yeah, look, I believe it's called the black knight, but it's this just strange form thing that kind of looks like kind of a black sheet or jellyfish type thing that flies in the upper atmosphere, and nobody can get close to it and whatnot. It's been up there for a while, but it's been in the, you do a deep dive in the web, you're going to find it. It's been around for a while. These new ones, you're like, it just reeks of government bullshit. And like if aliens invade, right? Like, okay, let's get to it for a sec.
Yeah.
You are a race that is capable of transcending maybe time, maybe space, maybe whatever to get here. And you're going to show up and you're going to be like humans in our storytelling, where there's always a bad guy and a good guy, and someone's always coming to kill you and hurt you and take all your stuff. That's very, we're like in our teenage years as an animal, like we need to grow a little bit. And it's hard for me to believe that if some race could come from so far away and they're going to come and be violent and mean, it just, I don't know. I don't like it. I think they come and you're benevolent. And if you want to conquer us, you could do it without anyone even know it was happening. So why wouldn't you? Why would you have to put on a show or do something,
Well, I think that you're right. Absolutely. If you're talking about advanced races, them being much more advanced than we are, just to have the ability to do what they're doing and travel to this planet, because we can't travel to theirs, wherever they're from or their dimension, whatever it is, then yes, that you would imagine that with that advancement comes not just technological advancement, but like every other type of advancement as a species and you know, as a whole. That's why I thought it was so funny. Like when I'm the Miami Mall thing, I was very hopeful, because I'm always hopeful when I hear this shit. I'm like, yes,
Sure,
this
sure.
is
Yeah.
friggin' amazing, right? This would be
Yeah,
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Please be real. Please be real. But it's fun. I'm like thinking to myself, like, in a mall, and especially in Miami, like if I was an alien and could go anywhere, Miami would be the last place I would go. Like, not to be mean, I know you live there, but Florida would be the last fucking place I would go.
Sure,
That's its
yeah.
own goddamn universe to itself. A bunch of weird freaks doing flocka and
Yeah.
all kinds of
We're
crazy
baby
shit.
Australia down here. Baby Australia.
You are, it is for sure. So, like, you know, to hear they're in the mall, it's like, just to me, it was like, this is the most ridiculous thing. So imagine that you're in the mall spending your gift cards, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get an orange Julius, some you know, honey chicken from Panda Express, and then what, 3 or 4 aliens come walking by like in the food court. I mean, it's just so ridiculous.
But if I had the money and the budget, I would bet both of you gentlemen that we stop talking about this, and I don't know how much time passes, but I had the drones and the technology that they're doing in the sky, but if I could do it in a mall, I'd wow you, and you'd be the same guy running backwards from that squatch with his gun tucked between his legs. I think there is that gap in technological advancements between the general populace and the government, or upper government, or whatever you want to call it, that gets you off. And it can be used against us at any time. Absolutely. A violent alien sounds too human to me, just hands down. And that mall could have been something, because where's the footage or anything of the fireworks? Where are all these kids that get caught? Where is it? You know, I'm on the fence with it. I tend to lean more towards, you know, kind of what they said. But where's all the evidence? That's suspicious.
It is very suspicious.
Very
Yeah,
suspicious.
I agree.
Or maybe it should be enraging, because they're able to, in a mass group setting, snub all the evidence and scare people so bad that ain't nobody talking. You know, and a few of them were gangsters down there, and they
Yeah, absolutely they were. Yeah, Miami gang culture is no joke, man. There's some thugs down there. Or give me 2 minutes. I have to grab the cord because my computer's about to die, and I don't want it to die just yet. But real quick, while I'm away, Dewey, you can talk about whatever you want. But that Las Vegas one was interesting to me. That was the only one that I thought was very interesting and intriguing. Was that the green light and the people who said it landed in their backyard? I thought there may have been something to that. But that the other stuff, just I don't know. It's weird seeing that weird spaghetti monster thing. I don't buy it. But you guys talk. Let me grab this cord.
It's my opinion that they're here to protect us from ourselves, keep us from blowing up the earth. That's what I'm thinking. You know, they show up around a lot of these nuclear sites and things like that, and there's got to be some reason behind that too. What do you think about that?
I have a book for you. It's called Quantum Paranormal by Patrick Jackson. I've been recommending it for years, but if you want a light in the darkness, Quantum Paranormal, it's for all of you. This guy has stumbled across them. He's a reverse engineer and an IT specialist. And, you know, you were talking before how Bigfoot could be autistic because they're into patterns and stuff like that, and routines and rhythms. Well, what else is like that? Code, computer code, technology.
Mm-hmm.
And he's come, in my opinion, he figured it out. That's where I'm at now in my learning and my adventures and studies. But I'll just leave it to that. And that's why I think we see a lot of different things, and why a lot of things are invisible to us, because like I said, we live in a zoo, but the walls are invisible to us. And it's really that simple. It's that simple. It's the DNA, you know, we're the fun, fancy apes that think we're all cool. And, you know, a lot of times we ain't. Ev, Deuster, Kyle, Mark, Plowboy, Green. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't know. You know, I don't know. All we can do is be consistent in our research and exploration. And I think it's so important that, like, all the different disciplines within the supernatural paranormal realm, we all got to team up. We got to Avengers unite, you know, and because like one thing could lead to another, as Kyle was saying before, and on a particular night you may get more this than more that, but
Right.
they're all seem to be connected. So yeah, everyone needs to come together, man. Kumbaya for the paranormal and get it done. And it's going that way more these days, you know. But it's a slow turn, you know. People, we love what we love. So if you're a ghost person, you're like, Bigfoot. You know, you're a Bigfooter, you're like, aliens. So wait till they find out that Bigfoot's an alien ghost, right? What? What?
Yeah, I started out with doing paranormal. I had my first full body apparition when I was 11 years old, and I
Whoa.
had one experience when I was 6 years old. But the full body apparition one actually was when I was 11, and it's just been going from there. I mean, it's just kind of mushroomed up from there. So I usually see something a couple, 3 times a year that I can't explain, you know, or hear something.
Yeah.
There's something here at my house that can disguise my wife's voice. Sounds just like her. She'll call me out in the yard doing something. I'll hear her call me, and I'll come in and see what she wants. And I didn't say anything.
Ooh.
And she says it does her the same way, that she'll hear me call her, and she'll come and ask me what I want, and I hadn't said a word, you know. So I don't know. There's some intelligence, or I guess you'd call it intelligence. I guess there's somewhere, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And but what it sounds like it you're not afraid of it though. It doesn't, it's just part of your life.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just part of it. I
Yeah.
said there's a old man and woman that live here in our house, plus a little girl.
Mhm.
The man and woman, they're the ones that built the house in 1945. And the little girl, I have no idea who she is, but she's the one that's vocal. She's the one that talks to us pretty regular. So
Wow.
it's kind of, I don't know what the word is, overwhelming sometimes when they speak just out of the blue, you know. You're not
Yeah.
expecting it, but
Yeah, but what a wonderful like little step outside the mundane reality that is
yeah,
life, right? And who knows what it is? Like, I mean, for me personally, you're cohabitating, like you're
oh yeah,
living a dream, really, especially if it's not aggressive, you know, like it's
right.
content with you guys as opposed to trying to push you away, which is really interesting. Do you journal at all? Like, have you, because if you're cohabitating and living with that, I think the best thing to do is to begin to write down every time of day that it happens and
Right.
every interaction. And then eventually the goal over time is to see the pattern. And then once you have the pattern, then you can really, you know, experiment.
Right.
So if not, I'd recommend that. I think that would be, and congratulations. I'm jealous of you doing. Big time. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you. This stupid thing, man. I don't know.
He's
My
back.
normal charger for the laptop broke, and so I was trying to plug it into one of the USB C cords, and it's telling me that it's not powerful enough and it's not going to work. And I'm like, the hell, man.
Do you mind if I do some silly plugs real quick? Just
No. Go ahead, man.
Right
yeah,
ahead.
I won't eat up too much time, but guys, if you're interested in like Bigfoot and not your traditional films, there's a lot of great docs out there, but we've got a series called the Skunk Ape Experiments.
Awesome
we tried
stuff.
to mesh. Yeah, we tried to mesh. You know, everyone's really into comics right now, so imagine a graphic novel mixed with a doc film, and just to give you a new flavor in the space, which is awesome. I was like Dark Horse Comics as opposed to Marvel or any of the other ones. And that's a great series. Satonga, as Kyle had said before, what's special about that is we went in and we worked with the Native Americans on the Mesa Res, and they use prayer to get close to Bigfoot. So if you're spiritual or religious at all in any way, you might be really intrigued by that, because I was brought up that way, but I never crossed my mind to use that, you know, so just eye-opening and kind of wonderific. On top of that, if you guys want to mingle with people like us and talk and have more stories, but also just kind of meet more people within your tribe, the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference is happening in June down here in Florida land, if you're not too scared of the Flacca Boys. The Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conferences happen in July, and then there's an Alaska Bigfoot Cruise in September, starting on September 13th. If you want to go to Alaska with Alex and find out all about cyborg Sasquatch. they're just wonderful events. Like, you know, we can vacation the same every year if you want, but sometimes it's good to kind of like take a step out and immerse yourself in the environment. And all I can tell you is it's wonderful. Like, everyone's super nice. The stories are amazing. There's way more people with stories than you know. So if you're on the fence, you're like, it sounds kind of BS, come, because we give as many people as we can a chance to talk, so that you can really see, like, either this is a cultural phenomenon that is happening to a lot of people, or there are a lot of people desperate for attention, you know. And you can lean either way if you want, but like when Kyle was just telling his story, and he's getting the hair go up in his arms and it's scaring him, you're going to meet people like that, and then you're going to begin to go, oh. So if you don't want Pandora's box to be open, if you don't want your curiosity like provoked, and for you to kind of have this sense of wonder again and a want to know more, then don't go. But if you are, and you want life to be a little more wonderific and fantastical, then please come check out any of the events. And it doesn't have to be those events. There's lots of good ones. Hey, what's up, bud? How are you? Oh, that's not fair. I didn't get to bring I would have brought all my kids in if I knew. Billy. Oh man, now I'm extra jealous.
Am I still your official melon carrier on the cruise? Is that?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
So,
all right, good.
No, you have to be, man. So back in the day, I worked in Hollywood for a long time, and Andy Dick, the comedian, if you remember him, he would have an assistant that would walk around with him, and he just paid the assistant to carry a watermelon. And they were usually these kind of just effeminate, like young men that he was dating. But anyway, they would carry a watermelon and just be shaking, and he would have a spoon, and he would just randomly in the middle of talking to people, eat some watermelon, offer some watermelon to people. And I'm sorry, it's fantastic. That is the most ridiculous use of friendship or courting, whatever that you want. And so my dream is to do that someday. And Kyle, I swear, when I ever get any real power in my life in this again, you will come and you'll be holding the watermelon and we'll both be laughing.
I'm doing it. I'm in, man. I'm in. That's amazing.
You got to get watermelon fit though, because that's ours. That's ours.
Yeah, that's heavy. Yeah, absolutely. That's the craziest freaking story I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. He was a nutty guy, though. He's a nutty dude, man.
Very nutty. A lot of them are very special.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Who was it used to smash a watermelon with a sledgehammer? Who was that? His mind.
Yeah, that was what's his name? Gallagher. Yeah.
Gallagher. Yeah.
Gallagher.
I couldn't think of his name. Yeah.
Yeah. Gallagher. I want to say Robin Williams, and I was like, maybe same height but different. Yeah, he had the hat and stuff. Oh man. Gallagher, go out in the woods and smash watermelons. Who knows? Maybe that'll work.
Well, listen, man. I know you got little babies and shit. We didn't even get into talking about staying sane in your 40s with a tribe of young children, but we'll do that another time. I don't know how the hell you do it. It's a lot. I mean, listen, I love kids, but that's a lot of kids. That's a lot.
You have a midlife crisis at 40 and you either buy fancy things or go to Boracay and live on an island with your friends, and you have two women that live with you and do everything for you, and you throw big shroom parties on the beach at night, or you just start having babies and slowly your hair goes gray, your hair goes bald, your back hurts, you're kind of tired, you're not sure if you should go on. It's awesome. They're succubus, but the greatest adventure of all time.
Call them succubus.
Oh man. Dude, they're awesome.
I love. Too bad you can't have kids and the shroom parties, because shrooms are still pretty damn awesome, right?
Dude, we didn't get into DMT, we didn't get into psilocybin, and we didn't get into the neuro-knot adventures that I also.
Buddy, I'm a huge supporter of, especially psilocybin. Like, it's helped me immensely. It's amazing.
If you are struggling with any addiction or depression or anything, I'm telling you, you use it like medicine. You don't use it like you heard about it. Yeah, microdose and start, and it will help you. And if you do a big dose, that'll help as well. But yeah,
because it does this whole restart thing.
It's natural. It's of the earth. We could get going on big pharma and how big pharma, you know what it really is? It's like what they do with cows. They wanted to feed us milk and all those other things because they want to use every piece of it, make as much money as they can. That's petroleum based. It's oil based, Western medicine. And all they're doing is taking the natural cures and making these other ones out of a substance that we should not be putting in our body. And we'll just leave it at that, But yeah, psilocybin's great. Dude, we did DMT with this guy who has portals open in his house. He's watched his children be carried to his bedroom, and the lizard doctor like looking at him like, what do you think? And he's sitting there with a stun gun that he keeps on the side of his bed, trying to shock himself to stop it. I mean, you want to, dude, we have so much to talk about if you want to do this again. And
yeah,
we got that fool on DMT. He went to the other side and he talked to him and he goes, why wasn't I allowed to have children? Like, why can't I have children? And they're like, because they would have been gods. And we'll just leave it at that.
what the hell? Yeah, you
True
got to
story.
come. You have to come back on. You
True
have
story.
to come back on.
We got to, yeah.
And we have to do something, man. If you come up here this summer, man,
Oh, yeah.
you have
Yep.
to get in touch with me. Really.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yep. Mhm.
Listen, I truly appreciate this, man. This was amazing. This
Well, this has been great.
yeah, this was
Great.
great. This was a
Thank you,
really
gentlemen,
one of my favorite episodes so far, and I don't say that lightly. This
I'll make
wonderful.
sure I tell James and Stacy that. That's perfect.
Yeah, yes.
Like
Tell
you more.
James.
Like you more.
Stacy hasn't been on yet. I gotta have Stacy on. I gotta talk to Stacy
Okay.
too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be in touch with him too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Guys, I will be back next week, obviously, but I'll probably go out this weekend at some point. I'm trying to hopefully hook up with either Lucci or Brian or Alex or somebody and get out in the woods at some point. If not, I'll go out by myself. But so keep your eye out. Hit the bell, hit the like, leave a comment. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Good night, guys.
Mike, you're the
Good
man.
night. Good night.